I wish I could sing very well. I would have done a song for you by Eric Donaldson. When he talked about traffic jam. Fela also did a song. He called it Stalemate. In Rivers State, there is stalemate. It is about Tinubu-Wike versus Fubara fight. It's about power, it's about betrayal, and it's about the lessons of history. So let me welcome you to class again. It is part 2 of the analysis on the crisis. It's a class of history, politics, and power. In this class, we are students. By August 2023, the first crack between Fubara and Wike appeared. What was the trigger? It was about the control of financial decisions and appointments. Wike expected total submission. He dictated the composition of the Rivers State cabinet. He insisted on nominating all commissioners, leaving Fubara with only one slot. 14 of the appointed commissioners were Wike's men. The governor was surrounded by loyalists of his predecessor. He was a king in name, but his court was full of spies, Wike's spies. Then Fubara did the unthinkable. He reached out to Wike's political rivals, particularly those aligned with Atiku Abubakar, the PDP presidential candidate in the 2023 election. This is where Tinubu became interested. Are you there? Fubara reached out to Wike's political rivals, particularly those aligned with Atiku Abubakar. Anything Atiku Abubakar interests Bola Tinubu? At that point, the president looked and said, wow, what is going on here? Wike has fought off these men. He had driven them to Abuja. Now, under Fubara's watch, they were returning to Rivers. And when I talk about those men, you remember them? I'm talking about men like Secondus, former national chairman of the People's Democratic Party. The fear of losing control made Wike tighten his grip. But Fubara resisted. His attempts to nominate 2 additional commissioners without Wike's approval led to an open confrontation. The battle lines were drawn. Rivers State is trapped in a circle. The actors change, but the script remains the same. So the Wike Fubara script reminds us of Amechi Odili's script. One man installs a successor. The successor turns against his master. A brutal war follows. The winner wears the crown, only to be betrayed by his own creation. Amechi and Odili fell out. But Providence smiled on Amechi when Celestine Omehia was removed as governor by the court. Wike was Amechi's man. Wike was Amechi's chief of staff. History. Wike joined forces with Goodluck Jonathan and his wife to trouble Amechi, his former boss. Attempts were made to use the House of Assembly to impeach Amaechi, but Amaechi fought back like a lion, surrounded by hyenas. History is not just a record of the past. It is a mirror. It shows us the patterns we refuse to see. It warns, but we rarely listen. I can hear David Mark, the Senate president of that era. In 2013, on the floor of the Senate, he called for caution over the politics of Rivers State.
Clearly, what is happening in Rivers State is an embarrassment to legislators across the length and breadth of this country. And it is in the interest of state assemblies not to do anything that will portray legislators as irresponsible, because that is not what we are. Clearly also, what is happening is totally unacceptable, and it must be condemned in the strongest possible terms in its entirety, irrespective of who is involved, who is directly involved, or who is behind it. It is not a situation that we expect, and we will not want it to continue beyond this point where it has reached. Democracy involves dialogue, give and take, and at every point people must learn to dialogue, to discuss and bring issues to the table, not to fight over issues to the level where it has reached. But because of the urgency, I also believe that this Senate must take immediate steps to protect democracy, to protect this country, and to ensure that democracy continues to grow and improve in the country.
Under Buhari, it was the turn of Amaechi to outmuzzle Wike with presidential backing. But Buhari is not Tinubu. Buhari just wanted to be president, and that was all. He wasn't really interested in controlling any governor or state. Unlike Tinubu, Tinubu can be described as a man desperate for control. Tinubu can be described as the pusher of the philosophy of power grabbing by all means. While Amaechi troubled Wike, perhaps Buhari called him to order and said, "Let Wike breathe." Today, it is the turn of Wike, who has found a kindred spirit in Tinubu, to run amok in Rivers State. It is Wike versus Fubara, or you can say it is Tinubu versus Fubara. Tomorrow, it will be another pair, because we don't learn from history. What a rivers! Rivers of blood and tears. Note that the theoretical framework for this analysis is Tinubu's theory of power grabbing. Fubara is a lazy student of this school of politics. He's not learning fast enough. Fubara did not realize on time that to be secure, you don't just grab the votes, you must grab the legislature and judiciary and run with them. At all cost, the theory states, fight for power, grab it, snatch it, and run with it.
At all costs, fight for it, grab it, snatch it,
Yes, sir.
and run with it.
Yes, sir. Jagaban. Jagaban.
Rotimi Amaechi puts the politics of power grabbing in clear context.
The politician is there in Nigeria to steal, to maim, to kill, to remain in power. If you think Tinubu will give it to you, you are wasting your time.
Tinubu's theory of politics represents the character of a failing state. In a lecture entitled A State of Our Own, Egosa Osagai, professor of comparative politics, makes the point that the state has failed to meet the imperatives of national cohesion and development. That the problems of war, terrorism, corruption, and poverty in Africa are functions of the contested ownership of the state. Professor Osagai makes the point that the resolution of the legitimacy and ownership of the state is fundamental to reforming institutions and strengthening of the agency of the state. It is about a state accountable to the people. This is the lecture I am talking about. It is a robust lecture on state building. I would like you to read this. It will open your world to decolonization, to colonization. It will open your world to the national question. So this book is one that you should read. I recommend it to you. Now let's read from this book. The author states, but it does point to one important fact, which is one of the major premises of this lecture, that Africans themselves do accept the state cost and are working, that is, struggling, conflicting, warring, bargaining within them to create states that are owned by them, recognize their rights to be different while remaining one, work in their interest, respond to their demands, and are accountable to them. That is what I said, that it is about a state accountable to the people. Osagai says this is so because although they belong to extant states, the states are not owned by them. The states are owned by the Tinubus. That is the point I'm making. Osagai did not state that the state is owned by Tinubu. I'm making that point. So he says that state do not serve the interests of the people. That kind of state do not respond to the demands of the people. So because of that, that state cannot be accountable to the people because the people don't own it. Those who own it are the power mongers, those with the capability to snatch and grab the state. Osagai says all this because the state, as it presently exists, is the colonial state that was established to serve interests other than those of the people who were and essentially remain subject rather than citizens. The scholar says that the eruptions that have turned the nation state inside out and upside down all over Africa in recent times basically challenge the legitimacy and tenability of this state and amounts to a demand for its dissolution. Like you hear IPOB calling for Biafra. They are calling for a state of their own. Because some of them have said the Nigerian state don't belong to us. It belongs to the men and women who control power, and they use it to impoverish the largest majority. Osagai said his task in this lecture is to interrogate these intriguing futures of statehood and politics in Africa. I love this lecture, and I hope you will love it too. Get your copy and read up. The point Osagai makes here is that the legitimacy of the state is called to question, and its dissolution is possible. That is my interpretation. However, he rejects the concept of failed state, a finality, the end of the state. He prefers the notion of fragile states. Nigeria is a fragile state. So he rejects the pronouncement that many African states are irredeemable due to the absence of a past tradition of statehood. It is the crisis in Rivers State that is leading to this analysis in this class of history, politics, and power. Remember, it's a class of books. It's a class of politics. So far, I have made the point that power once given is never kept in a state of brutal politics. In Tinubu's country, in Fubara's country, power must be seized. It is not about the people. The people pretend to be there, but they seize power from them. Those who forget this are doomed to be overthrown. Fubara did not realize it on time. Loyalty in politics is a tool, not a virtue. It lasts only as long as it is useful. The moment survival demands betrayal, betrayal becomes inevitable. I'm talking about politics in a brutal state, like Nigeria. Amechi fought Odili. Wike fought Amechi. Fubara fights Wike. Each one thought he was different. Each one believed he could avoid the fate of his predecessor. Each one fell into the same trap. Why? This is not an accident. It is human nature. The strong man rules, the weaker man waits. One day the weak man finds strength and the circle repeats. It happened in Oyo State in 2005. Obasanjo pioneered the theory of using the House of Assembly as a weapon in the hands of the president. He tested it too in Bayelsa State. In the case of Oyo State, he used Lamidi Adedibu as the force against the governor, Rashid Ladoja. Adedibu was said to be Ladoja's godfather and helped him grab power in the flawed 2003 election, the election that removed Lam Adesina from power. Having become governor, it was alleged that Ladoja reneged on the deal to share Oyo State resources with Adedibu. Then the war began. Ladoja was eventually impeached with the support of Obasanjo.
We got good governance.
Yes, to some extent, yes.
Under Obasanjo.
To some extent, yes.
Senator Ladoja, are you insisting?
You see, the first term of Obasanjo was good. Second term, he started fighting everybody. Something like saying, "Look, I'm now in power. I'm now in charge. He had the powers to do it, and he didn't believe in democracy, because when I told him that I could not be impeached because they would never muster two-thirds majority, he told me 2/3 my vote.
And that was true.
And that was true. Yes. But luckily, there is a third arm of government, the judiciary, which will tell you this is the limit.
After Ladoja was impeached, his deputy, Alao Akala, became governor. Adedibu nominated one of his own, Hazim Gbolarumi, as the deputy to Akala. In 2012, I discussed the happenings of 2005 with Gbolarumi.
Adedibu groomed you.
Precisely.
Adedibu made you a deputy governor.
He made me, yeah.
Tell me, what happened the night before you were chosen?
That particular night, if I can still recollect vividly, Baba just called me on phone that you'll be the next deputy governor. I did not even aware.
Did you shout for joy?
I was very happy because I've never even expected it anyway.
Did you deserve to be a deputy governor?
To me, I believe the people, the leaders of the party, believed that I deserve it because I worked tirelessly
to impeach Ladoja.
Even not to impeach Ladoja, even to contribute to the emergence of Ladoja himself as the governor of the state.
You also worked tirelessly to remove him.
Of course, because not let me call it the leaders removed him.
No, Gbolarumi and co.
I'm a led. Yes, I'm a led. I agree with you. I may lead the struggle, but that will be in connection. It was the collective responsibilities of the political leaders of the party.
You were Baba's henchman.
Yes.
You were given the ticket to go remove Ladoja.
Not yes.
How did you do it?
Actually, normally they did it the way it's supposed to be done.
How?
Because we had the 18 legislators against that of 32. Against that of Ladoja's legislators, I think 18 minus 32 will be 14. So we believed that the leaders believed then that they have already gotten the majority.
What was Ladoja's offense?
Because my brother, the way I look at it, because I've told you earlier that I would not like a situation where I will be joining issues with an...
It's the past. We are just looking at the past.
Because you can't, this is a collective effort of the leaders. You cannot take that to yourself alone. You cannot run the government as if it's your private business.
He was the governor.
Fine. But you cannot do it alone. You need people around you to work together, to think together. You cannot do it alone.
But there were people with him. He had commissioners.
My brother, our leaders did not look it that way. I think
he sidelined the party leaders.
He sidelined the party completely.
But at the beginning, Adedibu was enjoying the relationship.
Yes, so as at that time...
Because he was getting from the security vote.
He has not even gotten any kobo. Quote me.
But how much did he want from the security vote?
Let me tell you one story.
Okay.
I've told you I would not like a situation where I be joining issue with somebody like our elder statesman, respected Governor Rashidi Ladoja, because he's my brother, he's my father. He can never say so. He can never.
He can never say that Adedibu wanted money from the security vote.
He's not.
Who were the thugs on the street killing and shooting people? Do you know them?
I may not know them because we were not part of that system.
I learned you led the thugs that invaded the governor's office during that period.
They were not thugs. I led the political party members.
That invaded the governor's office?
Not invaded the government of the
Invaded
governor's office.
invaded the House of Assembly?
We were supporting the then 18 members. You know, as at that time, the governor used his power that the 18 members should not be allowed to their chambers. We all now decided, how could that happen? They are honorable members of the
House of
Assembly. You can't just deny them their right. It did not allow them to sit. How could that be possible? We now called all the members of the party to assist those 18 honorable members so that they should be allowed to sit.
So what did you do? You broke down the gate?
They closed. Initially, we were there with the policemen. Because we told the commissioner of police before we went.
Remember, at that point, Obasanjo had already told the police commissioner to take orders from Adedibu.
Were you there, my brother?
Can't you remember?
You were not there.
What happened? What did Obasanjo say?
I may not know. Because this is, I believe, as at that time, we were doing it the way we believe it ought to be done.
They were youths that had guns. They invaded the secretariat.
It's not so. It's not so.
That was not what happened?
That's exactly what not happened.
But there were clashes in the city.
You say?
There were clashes in the city.
There were.
So who were those fighting?
We know, when sometimes when such a rally come up in any political party, you may see all these hoodlums. They may decide to join you. So that could happen. But none of us had any weapon with us because we were led by the policemen. So how could we be holding any arms?
So eventually Ladoja was pulled down and you were compensated with the position of a deputy governor.
I may not know because
for a job well done.
I wouldn't know because they believe I merited it.
Are there lessons to learn from what happened in Oyo State? It is clear that Fubara is a poor student of history. Once the president is involved, anything can happen. Wike holds on to Tinubu. Tinubu is his lifeline. Without Tinubu, 10 Wikes will lose against a Fubara. A Fubara is a governor who controls resources. This is Tinubu's war against Fubara. It is about grabbing the soul of rivers in preparation for the next election. It's about money and who gets what. Tinubu is not a neutral party here, as he portrayed in his state of emergency declaration.
Fellow Nigerians, I feel greatly disturbed at the tone we have come to regarding the political crisis in Rivers State. Like many of you, I have watched with concern the development with hope that the parties involved will allow good sense to prevail at the soonest. But all that hope borne out without any solution to the crisis. With the crisis persisting, there's no way democratic governance, which we all fought and worked for over the years, can thrive in a way that will redound to the benefit of the good people of the state. The state has been at a standstill since the crisis started, with the good people of the state not being able to have access to the dividend of democracy. Also, it is public knowledge that the governor of Rivers State, for unjustifiable reasons, demolished the House of Assembly of the state as far back as 13th December 2023, and as up till now, 14 months after, no revealed the same. I have made personal interventions between the contending parties for a peaceful resolution of this crisis, but my efforts have been largely ignored by the parties to the crisis. I'm also aware that many well-meaning Nigerians, leaders of thought, and patriotic groups have also intervened at various times with the best of intentions to resolve the matter, but all their efforts were also to no avail.
Tinubu is an interested party, like Obasanjo and Jonathan were interested parties. I read from Professor Sagai's lecture, A State of Our Own. Mind you, Professor Sagai is the present Director General of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. One of his best books is this one entitled Crippled Giant, Nigeria Since Independence. Crippled Giant, Nigeria Since Independence. You see this book? It's a book you should read. The book analyzes the politics of Nigeria since independence in 1960 in relation to the factors that have prevented it from being the giant that its enormous resources and vantage location in the global system entitled it to be. The conceptual framework links elements of the country's political culture and economy to its colonial creation and current location as a neo-colonial formation. Crippled Giant, Nigeria Since Independence. I recommend this book to you. Before we end this class, I want to read from this book, Nigeria Descent into Anarchy and Collapse. It will help you understand what is going on in Rivers State. Nigeria Descent into Anarchy and Collapse. It's a book edited by 3 professors, Professor John Ayowade, Professor Adeoye Akinsoya, and Professor Latunde Ojo. I want to read from the article entitled The National Question, written by Adefemi Isumona and Adigun Agbaje. Both of them are professors of political science, University of Ibadan. On page 97, I want you to listen to this part carefully. There are lessons to learn. The professor said, Othman Danfodio and his brother, Abdullahi Muhammad, argued that the state and its government belonged to its rulers. Get this point. Are you there? Othman Danfodio and his brother, Abdullahi Muhammad, argued that the state and its government belonged to its rulers. Adigun Agbaje and Professor Isomuna says, according to AK, these political precepts' 3 implications are clearly discernible. First, the state belongs not to the political community, but to the king who owns it. Second, the ruler is accountable not to the people, but to God. Third, there is no separation between the state and religion, which in effect disregards the dignity of the person. They make the point that Ottoman Danfodio's political philosophy has permeated the political precepts, attitudes, and practice of virtually all Nigeria's political elite, regardless of ethnic affiliations. Did you get that point? See, these are works of scholars that have taken their time to research the Nigerian state. The solution to the problems of Nigeria are in this book. Our leaders don't read them. The people don't read them. It seems we are helpless. We are not. We have the capacity to change the destiny of this country. The point you should take away from this reading is that the theory of Ottoman Danfodio is the theory our political leaders have embraced, because Ottoman Danfodio and his brother Abdullahi Mohammed argued that the state and its government belong to its rulers. So I recommend this book to you, Nigeria: Descent into Anarchy and Collapse. This book is a good book. Read it. So as we round off part 2 of this analysis, let me make this point. Betrayal is the essence of Nigerian politics. Fubara's defection to Wike's rivals was not an act of courage. It was about survival. A ruler cannot share his throne, and Fubara understood that to govern, he had to break free. The moment he began assembling his own allies, the war began. Stay with me. I'll be back with part 3.